Lisa had always been the type of person who threw herself into things completely. When her university announced they were looking for volunteers to host an alien exchange student, she didn't hesitate for even a second. Her friends thought she was crazy, but Lisa saw it as the opportunity of a lifetime. You're really going to let some weird space creature live in your tiny apartment? Her roommate had asked before moving out early to avoid the whole situation. Lisa didn't care. She had been studying biology for years, and this was her chance to be part of something truly historic. Earth's first contact with intelligent life from another planet, and she got to be right in the middle of it. The day finally arrived when she was supposed to meet her new roommate. Lisa had cleaned her small apartment from top to bottom, bought extra groceries, and even picked up some houseplants thinking they might make the space feel more welcoming. She had no idea what to expect. When the government transport van pulled up outside her building, Lisa's heart started racing. Through her window, she watched as two officials in dark suits got out first, followed by someone who looked almost human, but not quite right. The being was tall and slender, with skin that seemed to shimmer like it was made of some kind of living crystal. Even from her second-floor window, Lisa could see colors moving across their body like slow waves of light. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. A few minutes later, there was a knock at her door. Lisa took a deep breath and opened it to find the two officials standing with her new roommate. "Miss Chen, this is Zeph," one of the officials said in a very formal voice. "They'll be staying with you for the next 6 months. As part of the cultural exchange program." Zeph stepped forward and gave a small bow. When they spoke, their voice was soft and musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Hello, Lisa. I'm grateful for your kindness in sharing your home with me." Lisa smiled, trying not to stare at the way colors danced across Zeph's skin as they spoke. "Welcome to Earth, Zeph. I hope you'll be comfortable here." After the officials left, Lisa showed Zeph around the apartment. It didn't take long since the place was pretty small, but Zeph seemed fascinated by everything. They spent a long time looking at the houseplants, their skin shifting to soft greens and blues as they gently touched the leaves. "Your world has such interesting life forms," Zeph said, their voice filled with wonder. Lisa had prepared the couch for Zeph to sleep on, but they explained that their species didn't sleep the way humans did. Instead, they entered a kind of meditation. "Stay for a few hours each day. I hope that won't disturb you," Zeph said. And Lisa noticed their skin flickering with what looked like concern. "Not at all," Lisa replied. "Actually, I'm curious about everything. I study biology, so this is all fascinating to me." The first few days were like living in a dream. Zeph was incredibly polite and seemed genuinely interested in learning about human culture. Lisa found herself staying up late just to watch how her roommate's skin changed colors in response to different things. When Zeph tasted pizza for the first time, their entire body lit up with warm orange and yellow patterns. When they listened to music, the colors moved in rhythm with the beat. Even something as simple as feeling the texture of a soft blanket created beautiful silver ripples across their skin. Lisa started keeping a journal, writing down everything she observed. She told herself it was for scientific purposes, but really she was just amazed by how expressive and alive Zeph seemed to be. "Your skin is incredible," Lisa said one evening as they sat watching television together. "Does it always react to everything you experience?" Zeph's skin shifted to a pale blue, which Lisa was starting to recognize as their way of showing thoughtfulness. "Yes, it is how my people communicate emotion and meaning. We do not hide our feelings the way humans do. Everything we experience shows on our skin." Lisa nodded, thinking about how different that must be from human life where people spent so much energy hiding their true feelings. As the days passed, Lisa fell into a comfortable routine with Zeph. They would eat breakfast together. Lisa would go to her classes, and in the evenings they would share stories about their different worlds. Zeph was an amazing storyteller, and Lisa found herself completely captivated by tales of their home planet with its 3 moons and cities that grew like living organisms. But it was during her 3rd week of living with Zeph that Lisa first noticed something strange happening. She had been having a particularly stressful day at school. Her professor had criticized her research project, and she was feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. That evening, she decided to take a long bath to relax and let her mind wander. As she soaked in the warm water, Lisa found herself thinking about David, a guy from her biology class who she had always found attractive. She let her imagination run free, picturing what it might be like if he asked her out, imagining romantic conversations and stolen glances. When she finally got out of the bath and went to the living room, she found Zeph sitting on the couch with their skin glowing in the most beautiful golden patterns she had ever seen. The colors were moving in slow, hypnotic waves, and Zeph themselves seemed almost dazed. "Are you okay?" Lisa asked, genuinely concerned. Zeph blinked slowly, and the golden glow began to fade. Yes, I was just feeling very warm and peaceful." I'm not sure why. Lisa thought it was odd, but she didn't make the connection. She assumed Zeph was just adjusting to Earth's atmosphere, or maybe reacting to something they had eaten. Over the next few days, Lisa started to notice more strange coincidences. When she daydreamed about her favorite movie star during a boring lecture, she came home to find Zeph's skin shimmering with deep purple hues. When she let her mind wander while cooking dinner, thinking about a romantic scene from a book she had read, Zeph suddenly dropped the plate they were holding, their entire body flushing with warm pink light. Each time, Zeph seemed confused by their own reactions, unable to explain why their skin was responding to things they weren't directly experiencing. Lisa began to pay closer attention, but she still didn't understand what was happening. She just knew that her quiet, peaceful life with her alien roommate was becoming more complicated than she had ever imagined. The apartment that had once felt spacious enough for two very different beings was starting to feel smaller, and Lisa was beginning to realize that sharing her home with someone whose skin revealed every emotion was going to be more challenging than she had expected. But she had no idea just how challenging things were about to become, or how much her own private thoughts were about to change everything between them. Lisa woke up the next morning feeling like something was off, but she couldn't quite put her finger on what it was. Zeph was in their usual spot by the window, doing their morning meditation with soft blue patterns flowing across their skin like gentle waves. "Good morning," Lisa said, heading to the kitchen to make coffee. "Good morning, Lisa," Zeph replied, but their voice sounded a little strained. "Did you sleep well?" Lisa paused, coffee cup in hand. Now that she thought about it, she had been having very vivid dreams all night. Dreams about her ex-boyfriend Kevin, who she hadn't thought about in months. In her dreams, they were back together, happy and laughing like they used to be. "Yeah, I slept fine," she said, not wanting to share her strange dreams with her roommate. But as she looked at Zeph, she noticed something odd. Their skin was showing faint traces of the same golden glow she had seen the night before. It was much lighter now, but it was definitely there. Lisa shook her head, telling herself she was imagining things. Maybe Zeph's skin just naturally had those colors sometimes. That afternoon, Lisa was sitting in her biology class, trying to pay attention to Professor Williams as he droned on about cellular structures. But her mind kept wandering. She found herself staring at Jake, the guy who sat 2 rows ahead of her. He had the nicest smile, and Lisa had always wondered what it would be like to go on a date with him. She imagined them walking through the park together, holding hands, maybe sharing ice cream on a warm, sunny day. In her daydream, Jake would lean in close and whisper something funny in her ear, making her laugh. Lisa was so lost in her thoughts that she barely heard the professor dismiss the class. She packed up her books and headed home, her mind still playing out romantic scenarios with Jake. When she opened the door to her apartment, she was shocked by what she saw. Zeph was standing in the middle of the living room, their entire body glowing with the most intense pink and gold patterns Lisa had ever seen. The colors were swirling and pulsing like a light show, and Zeph looked completely overwhelmed. "Zeph, what's wrong?" Lisa dropped her backpack and rushed over to them. Zeph's skin was shifting rapidly between different colors, and they seemed to be having trouble focusing. I don't understand what's happening to me," I keep feeling these strange sensations, these emotions that aren't mine. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. What do you mean they're not yours? I was just reading one of your Earth books, and suddenly I felt this overwhelming sense of joy and something else. Something warm and exciting. But I wasn't experiencing anything that should have caused those feelings. Lisa's heart started beating faster. The timing was too perfect to be a coincidence. She had been daydreaming about Jake right around the time she was walking home. When did this start? Lisa asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Zeph's skin gradually began to return to its normal pale shimmer. It's been happening for days now. Random moments where I'll suddenly feel emotions that don't match anything I'm doing or thinking about, and my skin responds as if I'm experiencing them directly. Lisa felt like the room was spinning. Could it be possible that Zeph was somehow picking up on her thoughts? Her private thoughts? Has this ever happened to you before? On your home planet? Lisa asked. Zeph shook their head. Never. My people are empathic, but only in very specific circumstances. We can sense the emotions of others when we're in direct physical contact, or when someone is in extreme distress. But this is different. It's like I'm connected to someone's mind without trying to be. Lisa sat down heavily on the couch. Her mind was racing, trying to process what this might mean. If Zeph was really picking up on her thoughts, then they had been experiencing her daydreams, her romantic fantasies, her most private moments. I need to test something, Lisa said quietly. Test what? Zeph asked, settling down next to her on the couch. Lisa closed her eyes and deliberately thought about something specific. She pictured herself eating a delicious piece of chocolate cake, imagining the rich, sweet taste and the satisfaction of each bite. When she opened her eyes, Zeph was staring at her with wide eyes, their skin showing faint brown and gold swirls. I just had the strangest craving for something sweet, Zeph said slowly. Something rich and satisfying. But I wasn't thinking about food at all. Lisa felt her stomach drop. It was true. Somehow, some way, Zeph was connected to her thoughts. We need to figure out what's happening here, Lisa said, trying to stay calm even though her mind was panicking. Every private thought, every daydream, every romantic fantasy she'd had over the past few weeks, Zeph had experienced all of it. The worst part was that Zeph seemed to have no control over it. They were as confused and overwhelmed as Lisa was. Maybe even more so. I'm so sorry, Zeph said, their skin flickering with what Lisa was starting to recognize as distress. I didn't know this was happening. I would never intentionally intrude on your private thoughts. Lisa looked at her roommate's genuinely worried expression and felt her panic soften into something more like understanding. This wasn't Zeph's fault. They were both victims of some kind of weird psychic connection that neither of them had asked for. It's not your fault, Lisa said. We just need to figure out how to deal with this. But even as she said it, Lisa was already dreading what this discovery meant for their living situation. How could she continue to share her home with someone who experienced her every private thought? How could she ever feel comfortable letting her mind wander again? And more importantly, what other thoughts had Zeph been picking up on that they were too embarrassed to mention? Lisa realized that her quiet, peaceful life with her alien roommate was about to become a lot more complicated. She just hoped they could find a way to solve this problem before it ruined everything they had built together. The apartment suddenly felt much smaller than it had that morning, and Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that both of their lives were about to change in ways they couldn't predict. 2 weeks had passed since Lisa and Zeph had their honest conversation about their growing feelings. The apartment felt different now, not uncomfortable, but charged with something neither of them quite knew how to handle. Lisa had gotten better at controlling her wandering thoughts, but she couldn't stop herself from noticing little things about Zeph that made her heart skip. The way they hummed softly while making tea, how their skin would sparkle with delight when they discovered something new about Earth culture, the gentle way they cared for the houseplants, talking to them like old friends. You're staring again, Zeph said one morning, not looking up from the book they were reading. Lisa felt her cheeks burn. Sorry, I was just thinking. Zeph's skin shifted to a warm amber color. I can tell. Your thoughts have been very Focused lately, this was the problem they kept running into. Even though Lisa had learned to control her more random thoughts when her feelings were strong, they still leaked through to Zeph, and lately, those feelings have been getting strong every day. I've been wondering something, Lisa said, setting down her coffee cup. When you pick up on my emotions, do you feel them as if they're your own? Or do you know they're coming from me? Zeph closed their book and looked at her thoughtfully. At first, I couldn't tell the difference, but now I think I can sense which feelings are yours and which are mine. The problem is that they're starting to influence each other. What do you mean? When I feel your happiness, it makes me happy too. When you're excited about something, I get excited. And when you feel, Zeph paused, their skin flickering with pink and gold. When you feel affection, it awakens similar feelings in me. Lisa's heart started beating faster. So you're saying that my feelings are causing you to develop feelings? I don't know, Zeph admitted. That's what scares me. How can I tell if what I'm experiencing is real or just an echo of what you're feeling? Lisa had been wondering the same thing. Every time she looked at Zeph and felt that warm flutter in her chest, she questioned whether her feelings were genuine or just the result of their strange connection. Maybe we need to test it, Lisa said suddenly. Test what? Our feelings. See if they exist independently of our connection. Zeph's skin shifted to curious blues and greens. How will we do that? Lisa thought for a moment. What if we spent some time apart, like really apart? You could stay somewhere else for a few days, and we could see if these feelings persist when we're not constantly connected. The idea made Lisa's stomach hurt, but she knew it was probably the only way to get answers. Zeph's skin dimmed to a pale gray, which Lisa had learned meant they were feeling sad or disappointed. You want me to leave? Zeph asked quietly. No, I don't want you to leave, Lisa said quickly. But I think we need to know what's real before we decide what to do about any of this. Zeph was quiet for a long moment. You're right. Professor Williams mentioned that the university has guest quarters for visiting researchers. I could stay there for a few days. The next morning, Lisa helped Zeph pack a small bag. It felt strange and wrong to watch them gather their few belongings, knowing they would be sleeping somewhere else that night. I'll miss you, Lisa said as they stood by the door. Zeph's skin glowed with soft gold patterns. I'll miss you too. That's what worries me. After Zeph left, Lisa's apartment felt enormous and empty. She tried to focus on her schoolwork, but she kept looking over at the couch where Zeph usually sat reading. She kept listening for the soft sounds of their movements, the musical quality of their voice. By the second day, Lisa realized something important. The ache in her chest wasn't going away. If anything, it was getting stronger. She missed Zeph's gentle presence, their thoughtful questions about human culture, the way they would get excited about simple things like trying new foods or watching movies. She missed the person Zeph was, not just the psychic connection they shared. On the third day, Lisa couldn't take it anymore. She walked to the university guest quarters and knocked on Zeph's door. When Zeph opened it, Lisa was shocked by what she saw. Their skin was dimmer than usual, showing muted colors that Lisa had never seen before. They looked tired and sad. Lisa, is everything okay? I need to ask you something, Lisa said. How do you feel? I mean, really feel. About me, about us, about everything. Zeph stepped aside to let her in. The small room felt cold and sterile compared to Lisa's cozy apartment. I feel, Zeph paused, their skin cycling through several colors. I feel like part of me is missing. I keep thinking about our conversations, about the way you laugh when I don't understand something about human culture. I miss the sound of you moving around in the morning, the smell of your coffee, the way you hum when you're happy. Lisa felt tears prick at her eyes. Those are the same things I've been thinking about. Really, and I don't think it's because of our psychic connection. I think it's because I genuinely care about you, not as a research subject or a fascinating alien, but as you. Zeph's skin began to glow brighter, showing the warm gold patterns that Lisa had come to associate with happiness. I was so afraid that everything I was feeling was just a reflection of your emotions. But being apart from you hasn't made the feelings go away. If anything, they've gotten stronger. Lisa stepped closer. So what does this mean? For us, I think it means that whatever this is between us, it's real. It's not just the psychic connection. It's not just curiosity or loneliness. It's something genuine. Lisa felt a warmth spread through her chest that had nothing to do with any psychic connection. I'd like to explore that, if you want to. Zef's skin lit up with the most beautiful display Lisa had ever seen, cascading waves of gold, and pink, and blue, like a sunset reflected in moving water. I would like that very much, Zef said softly. As they stood there looking at each other, Lisa realized that their strange situation had led them to something she had never expected to find. It wasn't just about the psychic connection anymore. It was about two very different beings who had found something special in each other, something worth exploring despite all the complications it might bring. The future was uncertain, but for the first time since this whole situation had begun, Lisa felt like they were moving towards something wonderful. Instead of just trying to manage a problem, Zef moved back into Lisa's apartment the next day, and everything felt different. Not awkward different, but hopeful different. They had both acknowledged that their feelings were real, but neither of them was quite sure what to do next. So, Lisa said as they sat on the couch that evening, "Where do we go from here?" Zef's skin showed gentle waves of blue and silver. "I honestly don't know. My people don't really have relationships the way humans do. We form partnerships based on compatibility and shared goals. But this feeling, this warmth and excitement, when I look at you, it's completely new to me." Lisa smiled. "Well, human relationships can be pretty confusing too, so we're both figuring it out together." Over the next few weeks, they began to explore what a relationship between them might look like. They started small, holding hands while watching movies, sharing longer conversations about their hopes and dreams, learning more about each other's worlds and cultures. Lisa discovered that Zef had an amazing sense of humor, even though their jokes were sometimes lost in translation. Zef learned that Lisa was incredibly passionate about her studies, but also had a soft spot for silly romantic comedies and terrible reality TV shows. "I don't understand why humans enjoy watching other humans argue about trivial matters," Zef said one evening as they watched a dating show together. "It's like a train wreck," Lisa explained. "You know it's terrible, but you can't look away." Zef's skin flickered with amusement. "Your species is endlessly fascinating." The psychic connection was still there, but it had changed. Instead of being an unwanted intrusion, it had become something they could use to understand each other better. Lisa learned to be more aware of her thoughts, and Zef became better at controlling when they were open to receiving emotions. "It's like learning to use a new sense," Zef explained to Lisa one day. "I can choose when to be receptive and when to maintain my privacy." But their happiness was shadowed by one big problem. Zef's time on Earth was almost over. The exchange program was only supposed to last 6 months, and they were already in month 5. "What happens when you have to go back?" Lisa asked one night as they sat on the balcony looking at the stars. Zef's skin dimmed to pale blues and grays. "I don't know. The program requires me to return to my home planet for at least a year before I can apply for any extended stays on Earth." Lisa felt her heart sink. She had known this day would come, but she had been trying not to think about it. "Could you extend your stay? Ask for more time?" "I could try, but the approval process takes months, and there's no guarantee they'll say yes." They spent the next few days researching every possible option. Lisa talked to her professors about graduate exchange programs. Zef contacted the authorities on their home planet about extending their cultural mission. But every avenue seemed to lead to the same conclusion. They would have to be separated, at least for a while. "Maybe this is happening too fast," Lisa said one evening, feeling overwhelmed by the complexity of their situation. "Maybe we should take a step back and think about this more practically." Zef looked at her with concern, their skin showing worried yellows and oranges. "Do you want to step back?" Lisa thought about it honestly. The smart thing would be to protect her heart, to treat this as a beautiful but temporary experience. But when she looked at Zef, when she saw the genuine care and affection in their expression, She knew she couldn't do that. No, she said finally. I don't want to step back, even if we only have a few more weeks together. I want to make them count. Zeph's skin lit up with relief and happiness. I feel the same way. They decided to make the most of their remaining time together. Lisa took Zeph to all her favorite places in the city, the botanical gardens, the art museum, the little cafe where she liked to study. Zeph shared more stories about their home planet and taught Lisa some basic words in their language. This means beautiful, Zeph said, their skin glowing as they spoke a word that sounded like wind chimes. And this means cherished friend. What about love? Lisa asked. Do your people have a word for that? Zeph was quiet for a moment, their skin cycling through several colors. We have a word, but it's more complex than the human concept. It means something like choosing to intertwine your light with another's. Lisa thought that was the most beautiful definition of love she had ever heard. 3 days before Zeph was scheduled to leave, they got unexpected news. Professor Williams called to tell them that Zeph's home planet had approved a special extension, not for the exchange program, but for advanced cultural research. Zeph could stay on Earth for another year, studying human society and relationships. They were particularly interested in your unique empathic connection with a human, Professor Williams explained. They think it could be valuable for future diplomatic relations between our species. Lisa and Zeph looked at each other in amazement. Their strange psychic connection, which had started as such a problem, had actually become the solution to their biggest challenge. Does this mean you want to stay? Lisa asked, hardly daring to hope. Zeph's skin exploded in the most brilliant display of colors Lisa had ever seen. Yes, I want to stay. I want to learn more about your world, about your people, and most of all, about what this feeling between us can become. Lisa felt tears of happiness streaming down her face. I want that too. As they held each other that night, Lisa reflected on how much her life had changed in just 6 months. She had started out thinking she was just hosting an exchange student, maybe learning some interesting facts about alien biology. Instead, she had found something she hadn't even known she was looking for. Their relationship wouldn't be easy. They would have to navigate cultural differences, the challenges of their psychic connection, and the uncertainty of what the future held. But they had something real and special, something worth fighting for. I love you, Lisa whispered in the dark. Zeph's skin glowed softly with warm gold light. I choose to intertwine my light with yours. They replied, and in that moment, Lisa knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Their strange beginning had led to something beautiful, and she couldn't wait to see what came next. The next few days were the most awkward of Lisa's entire life. She found herself constantly monitoring her own thoughts, trying to keep her mind focused on safe topics like schoolwork and grocery lists, but the harder she tried not to think about certain things, the more those thoughts seemed to pop up. Zeph was clearly struggling too. Their skin had become much more active, shifting colors at random moments throughout the day. Sometimes Lisa would catch them looking confused and slightly embarrassed, their skin flickering with colors she was beginning to recognize as discomfort. We need to talk about this properly, Lisa said one evening after dinner. They had been dancing around the subject for 3 days, and it was making both of them miserable. Zeph nodded, their skin showing the pale blue of thoughtfulness. I agree. This situation is challenging for both of us. Lisa sat down across from Zeph at the small dining table. First, I need to know, how much are you actually experiencing? Is it just emotions? Or can you see what I'm thinking about? Zeph's skin shifted to a light pink. I don't see images or hear your thoughts as words. It's more like sudden feelings and sensations that don't belong to me. Sometimes I get impressions of warmth or happiness or excitement, but I don't know what's causing them. Lisa felt slightly relieved. At least her most embarrassing thoughts weren't being broadcast like a movie in Zeph's head. Has this ever happened to your people before? Lisa asked. Not exactly like this, Zeph said slowly. My species evolved to be empathic as a survival mechanism in dangerous situations. We can sense the emotions of others to help us work together, but we usually need to be touching someone or they need to be in extreme distress. So why is this different? Zeph was quiet for a moment, their skin cycling through several colors. I think it's because I'm so far from home, and you're the only person I spend time with. My empathic abilities might be adapting to the situation, reaching out more strongly because I'm isolated. Lisa felt a pang of sympathy. She hadn't really thought about how lonely Zeph must be, being the only one of their kind on an entire planet. Is there anything we can do to control it? Lisa asked. Maybe, Zeph said. On my home planet, we learn mental exercises as children to help us control our empathic abilities, but I've never had to use them in a situation like this. Over the next week, Zeph taught Lisa some of the meditation techniques from their world. They would sit together in the living room, practicing breathing exercises and visualization methods. Zeph showed Lisa how to imagine building walls around her thoughts, creating mental barriers that might block the unwanted connection. Picture your mind like a house, Zeph explained, their skin glowing softly with concentration. You can choose which rooms to leave open and which doors to keep closed. Lisa found the exercises surprisingly helpful. Not only did they seem to reduce the frequency of Zeph's reactions, but they also helped her feel more in control of her own thoughts. She started to understand her own mind better, recognizing when her thoughts were wandering into territory that might affect her roommate. But the closer contact required further practice sessions created an unexpected side effect. Lisa found herself paying more attention to Zeph as a person, rather than just as a fascinating alien specimen. She noticed the way Zeph's skin would shimmer with genuine happiness. When they successfully mastered a new human custom, she saw how gentle and patient they were when explaining things about their own culture. And she began to appreciate the musical quality of Zeph's voice, especially when they told stories about their home planet. Your people sound amazing, Lisa said one evening after Zeph had finished describing a festival where their entire species would synchronize their bioluminescence to create massive light displays. I wish I could see your world. Zeph's skin glowed with warm gold patterns. I wish I could show it to you. You love the crystal forests and the singing mountains. As Lisa listened to Zeph's stories, she realized she was developing feelings that went beyond curiosity or friendship. She was starting to care about Zeph in a way that made her nervous. And the worst part was that she couldn't hide these feelings, because Zeph would sense them the moment they became strong enough. I think our mental exercises are working, Lisa said, trying to distract herself from the warm feeling in her chest when Zeph smiled at her. Yes, but there's something else, Zeph said, their skin shifting to a color Lisa had never seen before, a deep purple mixed with silver. I've been experiencing some new sensations lately, emotions that feel different from the ones I usually pick up from you. Lisa's heart skipped a beat. Different how? Warmer, more focused. And they seemed to be directed at. Zeph paused, their skin flickering with what looked like embarrassment. At me? Lisa felt her face get hot. Of course Zeph would notice her growing feelings. There was no way to hide anything from someone who could sense her emotions. I'm sorry, Lisa said quickly. I know this makes everything more complicated. I've been trying to control it, but no, don't apologize, Zeph interrupted, their skin now showing gentle waves of blue and silver. I wanted to tell you because I think I'm starting to feel something similar. Lisa looked up in surprise. You are? I don't know if it's just because I'm picking up on your emotions or if I'm developing my own feelings. But when I think about you, my skin shows colors that I've never experienced before. And when you're not here, I find myself missing your presence in a way that goes beyond simple companionship. Lisa felt her heart start racing. This was definitely not what she had expected when she signed up to host an alien exchange student. So, what do we do now? Lisa asked. Zeph's skin shifted to a soft pink. I think we need to figure out which feelings are real and which ones are just the result of our connection. And we need to learn how to give each other space while still living together. Lisa nodded, but she was already wondering if that would be possible. How do you figure out what's real when your emotions are tangled up with someone else's? And when that someone else happens to be the most interesting person you've ever met? The apartment felt different now, charged with possibilities and complications. that Lisa had never imagined. She was starting to realize that her biggest challenge wasn't going to be controlling her thoughts. It was going to be figuring out what to do with the feelings that were growing stronger every day.